Hi everybody and welcome to STEAM Challenges. My name's Michaela and I work at the St. Albert Public Library and you can usually find me up at the Jensen Lakes location. I am so excited that you've joined us today for STEAM Challenges because we have a very cool science experiment to do together. Today we are going to be growing crystals. So before we start this experiment, let's talk about the supplies you'll need to do it. Number one, the most important thing that you're going to need for this experiment is you're going to need your grown-ups' help. So if you go and grab your grown-up, you can watch this video together and then you can do the science experiment. So once you have your grown-up, here's the list of supplies that you'll need. You're going to need some borax powder. You're going to need some hot water. You're going to need a jar or two, some string and scissors, a pencil, some pipe cleaners, and it's really helpful if you have 1 cup and 1 tablespoon. So let's get started. So the first step to growing your own crystals is you are going to need some hot water. Now I've already boiled some hot water in my kettle here, and I've let it sit for just a couple minutes so it's not quite so hot. So have your grown-up boil some water for you, and while they're doing that, you get to play with these pipe cleaners. And this is the really fun part. This is the part where you get to decide what shape your crystals are going to grow in. So whatever shape you make these pipe cleaners into is going to be the shape that your crystals grow in. And you can make yours into whatever shapes you'd like. So I think that looks pretty cool. Perfect. And then I have a couple of white ones here that I thought would make really, really cool snowflakes. So I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to twist them together in the middle and then see if I can make it into a snowflake. So once you have all of your little pipe cleaner shapes ready to go, we're going to take some string and we are going to attach each of these to a piece of string. Now on one side of the string, we're going to attach it to our pipe cleaners, and on the other, we're going to attach it to the pencil so that we can put the pencil on top of a jar and then have the pipe cleaners go right inside. Now, if you have a really, really big jar, you can try and do more than 1 crystal in a jar, but you'll get bigger crystals if each pipe cleaner has its own jar to sit in. You're also going to want to make sure that your pipe cleaner doesn't touch any of the sides. Otherwise, crystals are going to grow and stick your pipe cleaner to the side of your jar, and it can be a little bit tough to get off if you do that. So I'm going to start by cutting just a little bit of string here. There we go. And then I'm going to tie one side to my pipe cleaner, and I'm going to tie the other side to my pencil. So when you're finished, your pipe cleaner should dangle inside the jar and be able to be lifted in and out with your pencil. The next step is we are going to be mixing our hot water and our borax together. Now this is another step that you're going to need your grown-ups help with. So go and grab your grown-up and let them know that you're ready for the next step. And then we are going to measure 1 cup of hot water and pour it into these jars. Okay, so I've been filling up these cups of water, and we fit 1 cup of water into this little jar. We fit 2 cups of water into this medium jar, and into this big one, I think we're going to be able to fit 2 of them. So I'm just going to pour 1 more cup of water into this jar. There we go, that looks good. Okay, so now that we have poured all of the water into our containers and we know how many cups of water are in each jar, we get to add our borax. Now you need to remember that for every cup of water inside this jar, you're going to need to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of borax. So let's start measuring that borax. We're going to grab our tablespoon, and I'm going to start with this jar that had 1 cup. So we're going to see if we can add 3 or 4 tablespoons of borax to it. Now when you're measuring your borax, you want to make sure that your tablespoons aren't piling over. You're going to want it nice and flat on top. All right, so I'm going to use this fork here, or if you have a wooden spoon, that might work really well as well. And I'm going to start mixing really slowly. We don't want to go too fast here, because if we go too fast, then it's going to spill over the top, which wouldn't be good. So let's keep mixing, and what we want to do is make sure that all of that white stuff at the bottom gets dissolved into the water. Okay, so I think it's all dissolved, and because it's all dissolved, I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon of borax powder into our jar here. There we go. We want to make sure that we can dissolve enough borax powder into our water so that our water can't dissolve any more of it. Okay, so if you've been mixing for a really long time and you still see that there's a little bit of white powder on the bottom, that's a good sign. So the next step is, once you have dissolved enough borax into your water, you're going to take your little pipe cleaner guy, and he's going to sit in the water just like that. And we're going to leave him for about 1 or 2 days so that his crystals have time to grow. All right, so we are going to work on our second jar here. And do you remember how many cups of water were in this jar? It was 2, which means that we need 7 or 8 tablespoons of borax to make. All right, so I've just put in 7 tablespoons of borax into this water, and we're going to mix it up. Again, we're going to want to do this really slowly because we don't want to spill any of our water outside of this jar. Okay, so I've mixed it enough that I don't see any of that white powder on the bottom, so I'm just going to add 1 more tablespoon to make sure that we have enough borax in our water here. We'll mix that up, and once you've mixed that up, we're going to take our pipe cleaner and our pencil, and we are going to put that in our mixture, just like that. So the next step of this experiment is to move your jars to a warm place and cover them with a towel so that they don't get disturbed. And we're just going to leave them for about 24 hours to see how those crystals are doing. So I will see you back here in about 24 hours. So now that the pipe cleaners are in the jars and we need to wait for a day or 2 for the crystals to regrow, let's talk about the science behind what's happening here. When we mixed the hot water and the borax together, we made a supersaturated solution, which is a really fancy way of saying that we put so much borax in the water that the water wasn't able to dissolve any more of it. And what happens to that borax is it recrystallizes, which means that it is going to turn back into a solid. And it's that recrystallizing process that is going to give us crystals on our pipe cleaners. If you're interested in learning more about all of these mixtures and solutions and how things can change when you mix them together, we have a really cool book at the library called Mixtures and Solutions by Louise Spilsbury, and you can check this out at the library to learn more about all sorts of different science experiments that you can do at home. Hi everybody, and welcome back! So it has been a full 24 hours since I placed these pipe cleaners in the borax water solution, and they have grown so many crystals. I can't wait to show you what happened to them. Let's start with our little yellow one here. Now this one was the one that I had done in just like a big yellow ball, and it was really, really cool because there's lots and lots of crystals right around the whole ball. But what surprised me about this one is that the crystals seem to really like the string as well. You can see that right here. I hadn't actually trimmed the string all the way, and we have crystals growing around it and up the stem right over here. The next one I wanted to talk to you about was this one here, which was the one that I had made into a snowflake. Now, this one is interesting because the crystals didn't seem to grow on the string as much, but they definitely liked those kind of empty spaces in between all of the pipe cleaners. You can see that there's just not as many details anymore because the crystals have actually filled in all of the little details. And the last one, this is actually the one that I was the most excited about, and it was the big kind of swirly one that I had done out of this green pipe cleaner. And I thought this one was really, really cool because there's so many different things to look at. You can see on this one especially that on the bottom of this pipe cleaner, the crystals are a lot thicker than they are on the top, and they're a lot closer together as well. Thank you so much for joining us for STEAM Challenges today. I hope you enjoyed this experiment. I know I did. And I can't wait to see what sort of crystals you make. If you do grow some crystals at home, feel free to send us a picture. You can send it to us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can email it to us at jsapl@sapl.ca. Well, I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.